from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. You're also hanging out with us here on video, Facebook Live, facebook.com/live-now-DT, so you can watch and listen. It's internet TV and internet radio, and guess what that means, folks? It means anywhere in the world, not just in central and upstate New York, but literally anywhere you are, we are with you. And that's the beauty of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we've constantly gone through progression and evolution with this show. And I want to thank you for your support with that, and all the, everything that people have done to help make this possible has been a beautiful thing to be able to see you in the morning and be able to talk with you in the morning, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And with that being said, we have Clay Sherman on the broadcast with us this morning. I'm going to give him a little bit of an extra intro. I like to do that here on the broadcast, and I know that I got a lot of humble people that normally when I do these intros, they kind of just sit back and they don't take a lot of credit for it, but they deserve it. And so to kind of start things off with Clay, this is a human being that showed up at one of my events when I had Coach Q, and we were doing trivia. We had Coach Q before that, and he showed up with his soon-to-be father-in-law, and we were hanging out and just kind of talking and going over some stuff, and I met him, and he said, I'm taking over this team. Bryant and Stratton just got their men's team, which I had known with Danny Frasina, and he's like, we're going to have a women's team there, and I'm going to be the first head coach, and I wanted to meet Coach Q, and I want to put myself out in the community and do whatever I can to help out and whatnot, and just really was supportive from day zero. He's like, I checked out your work, I checked out your stuff, supported what I did. I had no idea, and just like Clay, it humbles you a lot when you hear somebody say, hey, I listened to your show, or I watch every morning, or I heard this, or I saw you in the community. Makes you feel like what you're doing in life, something good's coming through and something good's happening. So Clay's first impression, as far as I'm concerned, was this guy that's just hungry. He's in the community. He wants to help, and he cares a lot. Extremely humble person, hardworking guy, and somebody who appreciates life for what it is because he knows the bigger picture. So with all of that being said, when he told me he was taking over a program, anybody that's willing to come out, spend their own time, precious time, to come sit and watch a show that we're doing, and we hadn't even met yet, and then he said, hey, would you support this, or would you be there? There's no question. As long as Clay Sherman is coaching anything or anywhere, he's got my support. And with that being said, like I said before, just like his first name tells you, he can mold this program into anything he wants it to, just like Clay, as it is in its first season. Bryant and Stratton Syracuse has a women's basketball team now for the first time ever, and they've started off their season with the first few games, and Clay is their first ever head coach, and he's the only person that can ever say that. So with that being said, I welcome him into the show, and I want to thank him so much, more than anything else, for bringing me into his life, into Kate's life, and of course into his father-in-law to be's life, because there's been a lot of amazing moments that have come from that are well beyond the sport of basketball. So with that being said, let's bring him in. Clay, how are we doing today?
How's it going, Dan? Thanks for the great intro, man. I appreciate you having me on this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And Clay, for you, I think it is ironic, but also amazing and just really cool that, like I was saying this morning, your name and what you're doing at Bryant and Stratton go hand in hand because you're molding a program. What's that like to walk into a building and there's no blueprint, there's nothing out there? Like, you're the guy that's making the blueprint. You're the guy that's making the program. How cool is that? Because only one person can say that when it comes to something like this.
Honestly, it's amazing. You talked about how I came out to your show, and that was way back in, I believe it was February or possibly the first week of March. And, at that time, I had just started really talking to recruits, and, I didn't have anyone committed yet. I didn't have anything like that. And then, you go through the full progress of recruiting athletes and getting out and, meeting coaches to where we are now. Now we have 12 student athletes. We're 4 games into a season. We just got our first win in program history. So just being part of that whole progression from literally scratch to, what I believe is a very talented team that's now we're focused on culture and getting chemistry and understanding roles. And, we just got that first taste of success and just, it's an amazing experience and it's, a very exciting time.
Yeah, and for you to go through that, like you said, when we met, you just kind of starting off the recruiting process, didn't have anybody, set up there yet. Bring me through the recruiting process of trying to get athletes to come play for a program that never existed before. They can't ask you, how many wins have you had? How successful have you been? What about this and what about that? Because it's a new program. So how did you sell Bryant and Stratton? How did you, find a way to appeal to the people that are out there?
Yeah, I really focused on, of course, the type of school that we are, the small setting, selling that because that definitely benefits a lot of students. But on the basketball side of things is really, being first, selling being first and being part of the vision and, being that first team, being part of that first team that gets to build the culture because that's just like a coach where it's exciting to build it. The players are, in 10 years, you're going to look back and be like, that was the first team. They established this program. They set the precedent for how things are going to be done, and they were successful in that very first season. So, really selling the excitement around building a program from scratch.
And for you, speaking here with Clay Sherman, the first head coach ever of Bryant and Stratton's women's basketball team, you spoke about getting that first victory, and you just got that here in your first official home game of the season, and you won that 92-62 over Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Bring me into that because this is a big game for you, a big time opportunity to to do something special and really have something in your history go your way. And you had said that to get that first win and to have that opportunity, your home opener, it's got to be something truly amazing. It's the first ever game you get to play in your community that's considered your home game, and you get a victory. So bring me into that, because it would have been great just to officially jump things off at home in and of itself on your court, but you got to do it to a victory as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, the first few games, we were definitely competitive. Our first game of the season, we went up to OCC, who, as you know, is, a fantastic program that's been around for a while. Coach Wheeler does a great job, coaching his girls up, recruiting locally, and getting a lot of talent up there. We went there, we competed. We lost by 12, like I said, but we didn't come away with a win. And then, the next game we played, same sort of thing. We competed. We fell a little short, and we really felt like as a team that we could have won that game. And then, we went out to Buffalo, played a very strong team, and, we lost that game as well. So starting off the season, losing 3 games in a row kind of made us self-reflect a little bit because we know we're talented. We know we have, what it takes to win basketball games. We know that. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board as a team and say, all right, what aren't we doing? And, we kind of came to a conclusion. I met with my captains, and then, we talked as a team. It was just kind of, the first game, we played very well. We were competitive because we had great energy. We were excited on the bench. We were engaged. Everyone was involved. We were cheering. And then we lost that first game and went into the second game a little deflated because we were expecting to win, which is great. But at the same time, when we hit that adversity, we have to understand that, a new day, a new opportunity, refocus when you get that next game. And, so after losing the first 3 games, we went back to the drawing board, kind of talked about, listen, it's a first-year program. We have to work on chemistry. We have to work on culture. And we also have to remember that we have 10 true freshmen that were the best players at their high school team that now have to accept the roles and embrace those roles. So the night before we played Albany Pharmacy, we actually, we finished practice a little early, but the girls wanted to stay. We stayed like 40 minutes longer than usual because they wanted to work on their pregame introductions. They wanted to work on running out, how they were going to run out of the locker rooms and stuff like that. And we had a lot of fun with it, a lot of laughs. And, we just had a great energy approaching that first game, approaching our home opener. And, you watch the game, the introductions, everyone's, really excited. And as we start to play the game, the defensive intensity is through the roof. The girls on the bench are getting up, getting excited, cheering for their teammates. And then, you had that type of engagement on the bench. When those girls get their opportunity, they step on the court and they make an impact. So I think, a big credit to just our team chemistry in that game, playing together, coming in focused, ready to have fun. And, it translated to a big win for our program.
Yeah, and speaking here once again with Clay Sherman of the Bryant and Stratton Bobcats women's basketball team in their first ever season in their history of existence, and obviously the first ever head coach in Clay Sherman. So you got to get that, like you said, the energy was great, the feeling was great. You're a young guy, so, when you hit that adversity, you hit that wall right away. You come out, you play your first game, and, and these young women are expecting to win. They're expecting to get it done. I mean, nobody walks into a game thinking, hey, we're going to lose this game. So they go in, they're feeling good, and they hit that wall. You lose that first one to Onondaga Community College by 12, as you had stated, 76-64 on the road. And so you got to find a way back. Speak with me about finding your voice, finding that thing that works, because there's a lot of people that can say that they're coaches, right? They go and they coach something, but there's being a coach and there's being a true leader. What can you say about finding your voice and maybe the time that it took to do that, and just your take on that? Finding your voice to be a coach on this team and to be a leader. How did you find that voice? Are you still finding it? Just what you can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely still finding it as a young coach, and it's something that I'm trying to prove every single day. But I think my success in that has just came from my passion about basketball, about this group, about these girls, about helping them, whether it's, in the classroom, if, they're not feeling well, just my passion across the board. I think they really understand that, yes, I'm a basketball coach, but I'm here to help them, take their lives to the next level. And on the basketball side of things, they know every single practice, I'm ecstatic. I'm super enthusiastic. I love to be there. And, they know that I truly want to be there. I want to push them to be better basketball players, student athletes, and people. And I think, that's been really where it starts in terms of having my voice, and that kind of, the fact that they know I truly care allows them to listen a little better than if they were questioning that.
Yeah, and you're 25 years old. I mean, you're a young man in this thing. So, do you feel like you have to almost command the respect a different way and whatnot because you're younger, because you're more close in age? I mean, is it a positive to be closer in age? Because obviously age is something that you can't stop. You're going to get older eventually as a coach, but is it a positive to be younger and closer to the age of the players, or is it something that you have to kind of jump over?
I think it can definitely be a positive and a negative. As a negative, I guess, just like you're saying, like just kind of finding that voice, it does make it a little more challenging. But at the same time, kind of like I said, once they understood the passion behind what I do and why I'm doing it, it was easy to kind of reel them in a sense. And, all right, coach is here for us. Like, we're going to listen. We're going to respect him. And then, at the same time, it's definitely a positive because, I'm able to understand and relate to them, a little different way, because I'm really not too much older, and I kind of, I just can kind of understand certain situations. I can kind of see it through their lens. So, it's definitely, a positive and a negative, but I think definitely mostly positive right now.
And as far as the team, for you, now that you're a few games in here, the jitters, do they go away? I mean, do you still feel them? Are you always going to feel them? Some coaches say that, and, I said it. I was away from this show for a day. I took Veterans Day off. It's a holiday, and I never took holidays off, and now I do because I think everybody should be able to enjoy some time with family, with loved ones and whatnot. So I step away, and this morning I was itching at it. I couldn't wait to get up. You would have thought that this was like the first week I've ever been a broadcaster. So do you get those jitters before every game? I mean, is that kind of your MO that you always get those butterflies, or are you different? Do those go away?
I definitely get them on game day. I definitely have that excitement, that jitters. But once the ball is tipped, that kind of turns into a focus on what we're doing, and kind of demonstrating that excitement through enthusiasm to get the girls motivated and pumped up. But I'm a big mint guy, so on game days, that's kind of my thing. When I have those jitters, I go through a full thing of mints in a single day, because I just keep popping them throughout the day, just to kind of, I don't know, it kind of happened when I started head coach in high school, and it's kind of been my thing since. So that's my thing.
So what type of mints? What's the flavor?
The ones I have in my pocket right now are just Breath Savers Protect Peppermint.
Okay.
A sugar-free mint, but I honestly experiment with everything, because I honestly eat them so much.
So, I mean, do you have a favorite? Do you have, like, because some people are, superstitious and whatever, do you have to have, like, spearmint on away games or something like, I mean, do you have anything like that?
Honestly, I haven't got into it like that, but,
okay.
I prefer, like, a peppermint.
Okay.
I prefer peppermint. I also like to have them while I'm drinking coffee, too, kind of at the same time, to give the coffee kind of like a peppermint taste to it.
So you're, like, always in the holiday spirit in a way, then, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got peppermint coffee going on, which is, I mean, some people pay top dollar to start for Starbucks to do that. So all you got to do is drop one of your breath savers into your coffee. You're good to go. But
exactly.
But here with Clay Sherman this morning. Clay, I want to speak with you on the roster here. We're taking a look at this roster this morning, and majority of these players are from Brooklyn and the New York City area. We have one player from Cambria Heights. We have Murphy's from Syracuse, New York, and Gabby Bell's from Syracuse as well. We have a Jamaica, New York, but the majority of this coming from the island and coming from the Brooklyn area. Just to speak on putting this team together, and I know you spent a lot of time in the New York City area, and just what you could say about how you feel about how you comprise this team and getting a lot of players from that Brooklyn and New York City area.
Yeah, like you said, I spent a lot of time down in New York City because, starting a first-year program, we knew we were going to have to go out there and get after numbers. In New York City, there's, thousands of basketball players in New York City. And Brooklyn specifically, they're tough. The brand of basketball down there, they get after it defensively. They're physical. They have a tough mentality. And there are just, a bunch of very good basketball coaches at the high school level down there that, I was fortunate enough to meet and, create great relationships with, which led me to recruiting some of their girls. But, yeah, Brooklyn, the girls from Brooklyn are tough, and they get after it. And, that's something we wanted to bring into our program was that defensive intensity, girls that are willing to go out there and compete not only every game but every single practice to earn their spot and push their teammates to be better. But, yeah, I was definitely fortunate. We brought in a lot of talent from the New York City area, a couple girls with collegiate playing experience, which is definitely super helpful because, they've been part of successful programs and they know what it takes to be successful. And, they've demonstrated both through their actions and also verbally to the team at times, listen, like, this isn't good enough. So they lead by example and kind of challenge their teammates to pick it up when that's necessary.
Yeah, and to look at this, once again, speaking here with Clay Sherman, the women's basketball head coach at Bryant and Stratton, to, look at the overall sense of this. Like you said, some of them have experience collegiately. For people that don't know, and I know you and I have spoken about it on the show before, but the USCAA, just what you can say about the USCAA and kind of the mechanics around it, because it's a little bit different than NCAA.
Yeah, so the USCA, it's a dual affiliate between NJCAA and the NCAA. So we're allowed to play both 4-year schools and 2-year schools because we have those associate degree programs and also the bachelor degree programs. I believe there are around 30 teams in the USCA in the nation for women's basketball. At the end of the year, the top 8 teams get a large bid into the national tournament. And then during the national tournament, it's a playoff-style tournament, and they compete for a national championship. So to get in that large bid, it's based off your strength of schedule, your wins and losses, and then there's a point system that allows you to compete for that at-large bid. And I'd also, like to take this moment now that we're talking about USCAA and the national tournament to give our men's soccer team, a big shout-out. They just won the national championship for the first time in the USCAA. They won a national championship when we used to be a Division I junior college. So shout out to Coach Nick Dimitrieski and the men's soccer team for their national championship. That's, an incredible accomplishment. And since day one, Nick's been, a great leader for me and the rest of our athletic program. And I'd also like to give Alex Grigorita and the women's soccer program a big shout out as well. They fell a little short in the national tournament, but they had an incredible season. They finished the season 14-2 and were ranked number 1 for a majority of the season. They had the 1 seed, I believe, for the first time in our women's soccer program history going into the tournament. So big shout out to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. To see all of the success and everything that Bryant and Stratton's been able to bring forward. I mean, you're part of this tremendously awesome history in the making, and this got to be so much fun for you. Like you said, you're calling out to the other teams that are here. There's cross country, men's soccer, women's soccer, and men's and women's basketball right now. Bryant and Stratton here in Syracuse. For you, do you get involved with the other coaches, kind of get around the other coaches, because you're all building something that's new? You know what I mean? It's like Syracuse had that opening day. Lemoyne had an opening day. OCC, Oswego, Cornell, Colgate, Binghamton, whatnot. They all had their opening moments, their opening days. You get to essentially be in these early stages of this athletic department, which has to be tremendous for you. And do you get a sense of that when you walk down the hallways? Do the coaches get around each other and kind of, look at each other and realize, like, you're making something right now. You're going to be the thing that 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, people are going to say, oh, this is where it all started, and you get to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And, the coaches, we meet pretty regular on a weekly basis. And, Alex and Nick, they've been around for a little longer. The men's soccer team's been around for a little over 20 years. And I believe the women's team's been around for like 10. And they've, like I said, from my very beginning, they kind of have the blueprint to succeed at this level. They know what they're doing. They know how to recruit at a high level. And they also know how to manage their teams and build them up to be successful. Obviously, they're both, national champions and also, top of the country at this level. So, they've shared their experiences and exactly what it takes to be successful. And I definitely take their brains and try to apply it and try to, I'm constantly asking them for advice on, just any situation that comes up within my team. And then, Danny, he was in my shoes last year, building his program from the ground up as well. So he shared, Danny and I, obviously basketball coaches, we spend a lot of time together. Between, just planning out games, planning out travels, meals, all that stuff. He's been, extremely helpful for me. Just being able to relate where I'm at right now, because he was here last year and just giving me advice along the way. And, it's definitely, there's a great camaraderie between all the coaches and the athletic department at Bryant and Stratton. And like you said, we're building it up, and this is just the beginning, and it's going to keep growing. So definitely super excited for the future here.
Yeah, and it is something truly amazing and unique, and it's got to be for you, exciting to go to work every day, not just because you love basketball, but because you're building something and you get to do something really special here. So as you go forward here, I know you got a bunch of road games coming up, but, speak about your season and how it's kind of, divvied up, because you got a bunch of games in November. A lot of those games are on the road. Then you only play a very select few right at the beginning of December before break and Christmas and all that good stuff. And then, in January we'll see you at home. In February we'll definitely see you at home for the majority of it. Just how this schedule is kind of divided up and how you would describe it, because obviously I want fans to be able to come out and see you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously we had our first 4 games. We just had our home opener, which was awesome. We had a great turnout. We play our home games over at Bishop Grimes High School. Right now we're getting ready. We have a big weekend coming up. We have 2 games in New York City on Friday and Saturday. So that's going to be a fantastic opportunity for, like you mentioned, we have a lot of girls from New York City. So a great opportunity for their families and, like I mentioned, the coaches that I met to come out, watch our program, get to talk to them a little bit, get some potential recruits out there and just demonstrate our brand of basketball down in New York City. We play Bond College and Berkeley College, which are going to be, 2 competitive games, but, we have our eyes kind of set on first going 2 and 3, and then hopefully we take care of business Friday and Saturday and come back to Syracuse 500. And then following that, like you said, we're away for the rest of the first semester. And just to kind of speak on that a little bit, that, we've talked as a team about it. It is a tough schedule for a semester, but, kind of like I mentioned earlier, right now we're focused on chemistry and culture. And this is definitely, there's no doubt about it. You look at the schedule, we're traveling a lot. It's going to test our character as a team. We're going to see adversity. We're going to have to play fatigued. We're going to have to play, after traveling 3 or 4 hours. But if we face it with the right mentality and, every night we bring it as a team, we are going to grow from it this semester. We're going to end this semester where we need to be on a character standpoint. And then second semester, we play a lot of games at home, like you mentioned, and that's where we're going to start to really find our rhythm as a team. And we're going to play a lot of big games that truly matter. The Bryant and Stratton games are very big. Villa Maria, USCAA opponent, we play them twice second semester. Those games are very big in terms of getting a large bid. So, that second semester, we're at home a lot more. Hopefully, we're going to be able to find that nice rhythm. Our culture will be in place a little bit more. We'll be clicking on all cylinders. And like I said, finding that momentum to do our absolute best to get in that large bid and, get into that national tournament at the end of the year. And then, once we get there, it's a new season. We refocus and, we take care of business.
That coming from Clay Sherman once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It's the first ever season for women's basketball for Bryant and Stratton College here in Syracuse, New York. The Bobcats are hungry. They're ready. They're with it. Clay has a job that he hasn't come through with yet. And I don't know if Clay remembers this, but you got one job you got to do, Clay. I know you got to coach. I know you got to do your thing, but you got to you got to get some gear over here, man.
Oh, I got you. We're gonna meet up. I'll take care of you. I'll hook you up.
So we got to make sure that we got the gear here inside of the studios. But Clay, before I let you go, something that I like to do here on the show, and you're always a great sport with everything, got a great personality. So we like to play rapid fire. I'm going to put you on the hot seat for a couple questions. You're going to put me on the hot seat for a couple. I don't know what you're going to say. You don't know what I'm going to say. But that's how we're going to round out today's show. So following the first ever victory, congratulations once again to Bryant and Stratton women's basketball and to you. And with that being said, coming off of that win, let's jump on the hot seat for a little bit. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right. So I will ask you the first one here. Clay, if you could create a superhero and you would be that superhero, what would be your superhero name and what would be your power?
My power. To jump as high as I want.
Okay.
And Baby Shaq.
Baby Shaq. Okay.
Baby Shaq. Translate to the basketball court, dominate on the floor, cheat a little bit with jumping. Yeah, Baby Shaq.
All right, Baby Shaq. What's your first question for me?
ChickfilA or Popeyes?
Oh, that is so easy. That is so easy.
It's supposed to be.
It's so easy. It's Chick-fil-A all day, every day, because I'm sorry, Popeyes, but the only thing that's Louisiana fast is how quickly it goes through your body. So, it's the real deal.
I was hoping to see Chick-fil-A there.
Oh, yeah, Chick-fil-A. Oh, and you know what? I don't know if it's here yet. I got to look. While we're on the air right now. I'm keeping you on here to see when this is coming out here. So let's see. The Chick-fil-A Shake, when is it coming to us? So, is back starting Monday, November 11th. So, as of today, the Peppermint Chocolate Holiday Shake is back at Chick-fil-A. So you just reminded me I have to go to Chick-fil-A today. I got to go. It's such a good shake. All right, my second question for you, Mr. Sherman, is if you had to choose an app between like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and all those, if you had to choose one and you could only watch that for the rest of your life, whatever was on it. Now, they can add stuff to it and whatnot, but you can only watch that for the rest of your life. Which app would you choose and why?
Honestly, right now, I'm big on YouTube TV.
Okay. All right.
You know, you can watch it on your phone, watch it on a computer, watch it on, you know, you can link it up to your TV, obviously. But it has great sports. It has, you know, all the sports you can think of. You can record shows and everything. Like, if you want to record just a category like NCAA men's basketball, you can record that, and all the basketball games are recorded. You know, Kate likes to record NCAA women's soccer. Okay. So she just, you know, clicks record, and then, you know, we lay down at night, and any soccer game she wants to watch is right there, ready to go. So,
all right.
Yeah, I have to say YouTube TV.
All right, YouTube TV. I like it. There's some good sports stuff on there. And today is the official unveiling of Disney Plus for November 12th, so I'm excited about that. What is your second question for me?
My second question.
Yes.
All right. What's your favorite sports moment in the history of sports?
Oh, man. My favorite sports moment in the history of sports. I would have to say there's probably a bunch. I mean, there's some that I experienced, but I would say 2003, I was one of two people in my class at Christian Brothers Academy that picked Syracuse to win the national championship. And I got made fun of for weeks, and then all those people were high-fiving each other, and I told them to all put their hands down because they picked Duke and Michigan State and Kentucky. But so I said Syracuse is going to win, and they did. And
That's awesome. Wow.
And the coolest thing about it was the experience in the house. So my dad's sitting in the chair. My dad's sitting in like the old recliner that was like 150 years old. So he's sitting in the recliner. My mom and my mom's standing. I'm kneeling in front of the TV like I'm about to go in. My dog Shady is laying on the floor. And when they won, I literally was like, I put my hands up in the air and I was kneeling, I think on my right knee. And I was like, yes. And my dad started laughing. And my mom goes, wait, what? Is it over? Is it over? Did we win? And it was that like we all like had our own like kind of emotional cry but laugh, but oh my God, but this isn't real. So I would say that moment when I realized in, you know, just sitting there watching that TV that my city in that moment had a giant spotlight on it that the entire world could see. And I remember being on the floor saying, this is like in this moment right now, everybody knows who Syracuse is. Everybody knows my city. And there's just so much pride that goes into that I would have to say that's one of my favorite moments.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah, so that's the good stuff. But, you know, my hope is that when Bryant and Stratton women's basketball of Syracuse wins a national championship, I get to tell that story too. That's the whole point. So
yeah, that's what I like to hear. Absolutely.
So that coming from Clay Sherman, as always here, Clay, I appreciate it. You know, I hope everything goes well. You and I will meet up soon and we'll be in touch soon. But as always, thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. And just really remember every single day that you walk into the office, just what you're doing and how you're doing it. I mean, every step that you take right now, nobody will ever get to take those steps because you're the first. So I just really hope that the moment hits you every day, because living in the moment and looking back at the moment are two totally different things. So I hope you enjoy it as you're in it, so that when you look back years from now, you can really, you know, tell yourself and to tell the people that you love that you got to enjoy every minute of growing this thing, because it's hands down one of the most amazing things that very, very few people get to do is build something from scratch. So I really hope that you take that moment every day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dan. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time to talk with me this morning, and thank you so much for all the advice. I really enjoyed it.
All right, man. Well, be good. Give my best to the family. I'll talk with you soon.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, Dan. Thank you.
Take care.